Hey, I'm Steve Krenz for Guitar Gathering. Thanks for joining us for this quick little lesson on how to play sixths on guitar. The interval of a sixth. It's a wonderful, beautiful interval that sounds particularly great on guitar. So let me kind of open us up with a little, some sixth here. You know, that little interval there of a sixth. That is an interval that just sounds so great on guitar. It's one of the earliest things that I remember learning and stumbling across and thinking, wow, that just sounds so great on guitar. It's just a particular interval that works great on guitar. Hey, there's a PDF that goes along with the lesson, so make sure you take a second to download that. It's all free, and it will help you out. I've got the tab and everything on there. So let's dive in. What are these sixths? The interval of a sixth. Well, there's several special intervals in guitar that work well. Thirds, we've done a lesson on thirds. We've done a lesson on tenths. And now this is a lesson on sixths. So it is the distance. An interval is a distance. It's a distance from one note to another note. So if I'm in the key of C, let's say, the distance from the first note, C, to the sixth step of that scale, an A, would be a sixth. That's what we call a sixth. So don't get it confused with other things. It's a distance. Now, just like with thirds, there are major sixths and minor sixths and things like that. But it's a specific distance is what we're trying to get you to correlate there. And also to understand that there's a relationship between the third and the sixth. So in the key of C, the third would be the E above it. Or if I do it down here, down a lower octave, I have a C, and I have that interval there's the third. Well, if I take that C and raise it up an octave and still keep the E where it's at, now I have the interval of a sixth. So do you see how a third and a sixth are kind of two sides of the same coin? It's the same two notes, a C and an E, but one time they're close to each other, another time they're further apart with the C as the upper note. When we're talking about sixths, generally we refer to the upper note, the note that is higher in pitch, as the root, with the note that is the harmony note kind of beneath it. So this sixth there, we would call that a sixth in C, with that note, the higher note being the root in C. All right, so take a look at, flip over to page 2, and here's how sixths work on guitar. You know, I remember playing a session here in Nashville. Barbara Mandrell was the producer of the session, and we were doing several songs, and we were doing it for an artist, Christy Sutherland, I remember. And I was doing electric stuff and acoustic and had, you know, all that sort of stuff. And then we were doing this one song, and I thought, well, let me just whip out a nylon string guitar, which I've got one here. And I just did a simple little, you know, and everybody goes, oh, that's the sound, that's the sound. You know, why do I even bother playing electric? You know, if you can kind of use that interval, and it just sounds so great on that guitar, on nylon string particularly. All right, so here's how sixths work. Generally on guitar, you put them, unlike thirds, which are on kind of adjacent strings. Sixths, we usually do it on strings that have at least one string in between them. So like, you know, if I did them on the sixth and the fourth string, or another combination would be the fifth and the third string. The fourth and the second string. So they always have a string in between them. So there's going to be two different forms. Even though you can play them in all these different keys and all that sort of stuff, there's really only two different forms that you have to memorize, and you can play them in any key on any string set. So let's first take a look at the first form there. So if you take a look at page 2 and look at that first example there, let's put them on the lowest string combination we can. This would be the sixth string, and we'll put the root In this case, we're going to make it in the key of E, and we're going to put that on the 4th string with our 1st finger at the 2nd fret. So you end up with this sort of a shape. 3rd finger and 1st finger. Now, remember the finger notations in the PDF are notated with the circles around it. And so we're just going to walk up the scale using only the 4th and the 6th strings. So if I did this, and I want to put the 6th underneath it, put my 3rd finger there on the 6th string at the 4th fret. So notice the pattern. I want you to see this. This is 3rd finger and 1st finger. That's the shape for a major 6th. If I go up to the next one, I move the 2nd finger to the 6th string at the 5th fret, 1st finger, and it scoots up to the 4th string at the 4th fret. That would be a minor 6th. Then I do another minor. Then I go back to my 3 and 1 major, 3 and 1 major, 2 and 1 minor, 2 and 1 minor, and then you kind of run out of root and neck here, and you catch that 3 and 1 again. Look at the pattern. 3 and 1, and then you get 2 and 1s, 2 3 and 1s, 2 2 and 1s, and then 3 and 1. So it's always 2 2 2 and 2. It's just you start in the middle of one of those pairs. So how I would start learning those, is just go up and down the scale and get that pattern, a finger pattern, 3 and 1, 2 and 1, 2 and 1, and work it up. If I wanted to play it in the key of F, then I scoot everything up a half step. So now my F, that root note, is on the 4th string at the 3rd fret. And you work your way up there. All right, so that doesn't sound particularly in a good register for the instrument. We're working our way up. We'll take a look at the next diagram there at the bottom of page 2. Let's move it up to a different string set. So if we put those 6th not on the 6th string and the 4th string, but the 5th string and the 3rd string, okay? So let's put them, let's say, in the key of A. There's our A. Now, this is going to be the same form, the same finger pattern that we just played. 3 and 1, 2 and 1, 2 and 1, 3 and 1, 3 and 1, 2 and 1, 2 and 1, 3 and 1. Same finger pattern. One of the benefits of playing guitar and how it's tuned is sometimes you'll stumble across these patterns. So this first form of the scale is the same finger pattern for both the 6th and the 5th string. So again, if I was doing it in the key of B flat, maybe I would be. It's a great way to harmonize a melody in 6th. So, all right, so there it is in the 6th string and the 5th string. Flip over the page, 3, and let's look at the next form. Now, because of how the guitar is tuned, we have to adjust the form slightly when we get to these upper strings. So let's go to the next string set. This would be string combination, the 4th string and the 2nd string. Okay, so let's say we're in the key of C. So I'm going to put my 1st finger on the C on the 2nd string, 1st fret. 2nd finger on the E right there. And we're just going up the scale. Now, so it starts off with a 2 and 1, and then look, for the next one it goes to a 2 and a 3. So 2nd finger is always on the lower string on this set. Okay. What if you added that open G in between them? So the first thing I do is try and get the pattern and work it up the scale. Maybe I can offset them. Instead of playing them together, I could do them offset. Maybe I could do it in thirds. you go. You can add maybe that open G in between them. There you go. All right, so we've done it on the 6th string, we've done it on the 5th string, we've done it on the 4th string. The only last combination that you can do is on the 3rd string and the 1st string. So if you take a look at the middle line on page 3, let's say if we put it in the key of F. Again, F is the upper note. And it's the same pattern we just did for the previous one. 2 and 1, 2 and 3, 2 and 3, 2 and 1, 2 and 1, 2 and 3, 2 and 3, 2 and 1. So it's a little bit awkward if you haven't done it before, but there's such handy intervals to know on the instrument. It's just one of the best things and easiest things to learn on guitar. Just a great way to harmonize things on guitar. So we've learned 2 different forms. We've learned these lower shapes. Okay, we did an E, we did an A, we did a different shape for the upper shapes. Did them in C, did them in F. So you should be able to do them in any key all the way up the neck and just keep flipping those patterns. So how I would start is just by going up the scale and then maybe doing the scale in thirds. Then I might take a simple melody and start to try and harmonize with it. So take a look at the next section there at the bottom of page 3. If we just take a simple melody like maybe, oh, I don't know, Happy Birthday. Okay, so if I did a Happy Birthday in the key of C, just the melody itself will be. Okay, so that's fine. That's great, but if I wanted to harmonize that melody a little bit, if I look on page 4, here I'm going to start to harmonize it. I'm going to start adding notes underneath it. Well, which notes do I pick? Well, the first one I would check would be the 3rd and the 6th. Now remember, those are related. So if the 3rd doesn't work kind of with the harmony, it doesn't sound right to you, then try the 6th. If the 6th doesn't sound right, then you go for the 3rd. Generally, between those two, you can catch about 90% of any harmony you're going to try and have to do. So if I add a little bit some of these 6th to that melody, look what happens. There's a 6th there. There's a 6th. There's a 6th. Now, I did a 3rd there because that sounded like it fit with that G7 a little better. There's the 6th again. There's the interval of a 6th again. Oh, what is this? That is a 10th. So thirds, which is actually a 3rd. If we have an E and a G, that would be a 3rd. But now I've put the E farther away. I put him in octave voice, so we call that a 10th. So there's a 10th there squeezed in there as well. There's a 6th, 6th, 6th. Now there, we had a melody note that was not in the chord, so we have to just kind of play the note in the melody note. There's a 3rd, 6th. So do you see how probably 60% of those are 6ths, and we have the majority of the rest of them are 3rds, then we have a 10th in there. So using these 6ths are just a great way to harmonize a simple melody. So take a look at the last thing I wanted to show you is I wrote out a little simple little song that uses a lot of these 6ths. So this is a song called Springtime that we did way back when. Let me play it a little bit for you here first. So just a simple little melody there, but look at all these wonderful 6ths. I have an A, then... So I'm in the key of A, and I'm doing 6. But I'm going to adjust my fingering around a little bit so I can do maybe a hammer-on there to this F sharp and D. Going back to a one-finger bar there at the ninth fret for the C sharp and the E. Ending up on a little E seventh chord. Then I do repeat that. F sharp, and then these are all sixth here. But in order to hold down this F sharp, I can't go up to there, so I had to just cheat and put the same two notes, but on adjacent strings. Hit that open E, and then do the little chord underneath it. Just sixth going up there, and then sixth on the A. So do you see how much how much mileage you can get out of these sixths? So it's a great interval to have in your back pocket when you want to start harmonizing some things. So we've done a thirds workout, we've done a tenths, and this is the one for sixths as well. Hey, I'm Steve Krenz for Guitar Gathering. We'll see you next time.